Hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're discovering the underrated charm of Uruguay. From Montevideo to the coast, we've got you covered with food advice, cultural surprises, and all the travel don'ts you need to know when you do visit Uruguay. So let's get started with 100-ish hours of Uruguay. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some things that you should know before you come here to Uruguay. Because I know I've come here before. I mean, the first time I was here was 20 years ago, and I'm back here with my family because it's a really nice place to visit. But one of the things I saw is there's not a lot of information online or guidebooks that actually help you get ready for Uruguay. And so that's what this video is about, okay? Now, if you want to talk about the main sites people see when they come here, well, Colonia is probably the most easiest visited and most visited place for a lot of tourists. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the historic center. You can see the lighthouse and the old fort walls and the gate to the city, and there's some museums here. And this was actually a Portuguese town, okay? So you can see there's an Azulejos museum, the blue tiles, the Portuguese tiles, they have that. And so you have a historic city like this, where people go to Montevideo, the capital, to see that, or they go to Punta del Este, which is like the party beach capital of kind of like the East Coast. And there's those things, but there's more than that when you're here. There's other great beaches you can check out. You go to estancias, go out to ranches and stay out there. So there's a lot of really nice things to do when you are here. And the thing is when you're coming, people also like to know, it's like, hey Mark, what are we going to eat? You know, is it just like Argentina where you eat a lot of beef? Well, in that respect, yes, there's a lot of beef when you are here. Asado, the having a barbecue, you know, grilled beef, grilled pork, grilled chicken, grilled fish. You're going to have a lot of that when you are here, and it is really good. I will tell you though, if you like to have your steak a little juicy, they tend not to do that. You got to make sure you ask it for it juicy, okay, or rare, and not like a punto, which is like well done, because that's kind of how they like it here. So just a heads up for that. Some of the other things you want to have when you're here, aside from going out to the grill parties, is have a chivito, which is a steak sandwich. Now I know you're like, Mark, you just said asado, you just said steak. Why aren't you talking about it again? Well, the thing is chivito, it's bread, steak, and then they put like cheese inside of ham and then cook it. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's so good. And then lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, egg on it. You have that. Oh, it's so good. And you can have it without the bread and have it on top of potatoes. But that's another way to have it, chivito al plato, and it's really, really good. Also, dulce de leche, like that caramel kind of thing. It's in all kinds of really good dishes when you are here. A lot of tasty treats, a lot of candies and stuff. You will have a good time with that, okay? You will eat nicely. I do want you to know, when it comes to eating, they do tend to eat later in the evening here, so like don't be surprised if you're eating dinner at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and the people next to you have their kids out and stuff like that. So be prepared for that, because things kind of start a little bit later, all right? And the thing is, you're gonna eat a lot of good food when you are here. You might ask, do I tip the waiter when I am here? Yes, you do tip your waiter about 10% on the bill when you are here. If you pay with your credit card, sometimes you can let them know, so you can tip that way, or you can just leave cash as well, so that's nice. And I guess that will lead me into talking about the money. Now, the money in Uruguay is the peso, okay? The Uruguayan peso, you'll see a dollar sign or a U with a dollar sign there for the prices. But the thing is in different parts of Uruguay, you can actually pay with dollars or Argentine pesos or reals and stuff like that. Though I would say the preferred foreign currency is actually the US dollar. So a lot of times what we've done is we might have paid with a credit card and then tipped in US dollars. So there is that. Now, when you want to get cash out, and you do want to have some cash for tips and stuff like that, what you have to realize is going to the ATM, I mean, there's ATMs all over the place, like in the big cities and stuff, it's not a big deal, but a lot of times they're actually in the bank. And so when they're in the bank, when the bank closes, well, then the ATM closes too. So if you're out during the day, I grab some cash during the day so you have it, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're coming with US dollars and stuff, you'll be fine. What they'll usually do is tell you the price in pesos, and then they'll divide by 30 or whatever. They go at 29 or 32 or whatever the going exchange rate is at that time. And it's usually kind of a fair rate, so there is that. And that's one thing I think you should also know, is we look at safety and fairness and stuff. It's actually, Uruguay is pretty safe. I mean, it's ranked one of the safest places in South America, you know, and stuff like that. But what's cool is you don't feel like you're going to get ripped off here. Like, people are pretty genuine with you, so that is cool. So that's nice about the people. Another thing with the people, you're going to need to have some patience when you're here. Things take a little bit longer to get things done, and you might be like, what's taking so long? Oh, nothing. It's just taking long. Just make sure you pack your patience when you do come here, okay? Now, One thing a lot of people ask me about when they travel is like, Mark, what about like Wi-Fi and stuff like that? Do they have those things here? Of course they have Wi-Fi. The internet's everywhere. And Uruguay is no different than everywhere else in the world. So hotels will have Wi-Fi for you. Cafes and restaurants will have Wi-Fi for you. Just ask for the password. They can get that for you. If you have your mobile phone you're bringing from abroad, they have 3G, 4G networks, LTE networks, so you can get your Facebook or your Instagram and stuff like that on your phone. No big deal. But I will say is make sure you talk to your provider, your phone provider, before you come to Uruguay to make sure they're covered in your international plan. You can buy little chips and get like a little pay-as-you-go phone and stuff like that when you come here, so that is another option for you. Now, if you want to go out and buy that chip card, if you want to go buy anything, you probably know when the times are. Usually stores are open from 9 to about 7. Sometimes they go later in the big cities and stuff like that. But what you need to know, in the middle of the day, especially in the smaller towns, there might be a little siesta, so the stores will close from like 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 or something like that. So if you have to do some shopping, get it done in the morning, or just know you're going to be doing it in the evening, because there is that nice long lunch break when you are there. And also when you go out to eat, I know I didn't mention before with the food, is make sure you plan a lot of time to eat, because it does take, remember that patience part, it takes a while to get all that good food ready for you, okay? So heads up for that one. Now, another thing a lot of people ask me about, like, Mark, I'm scared to go to a place if I don't speak the language. Like, do I have to speak Spanish when I go to Uruguay, or can I get by in English? Well, what's cool is, like I said, the people here in Uruguay are pretty chill. I mean, they're really nice and really laid back. So even if you don't speak Spanish, you're gonna be okay. They're gonna help you. But what you need to realize is you do need to know a few words in Spanish before you come here, or when you're here, even if it's just hola, which is hello, or gracias, which is thank you, or por favor, which is please, cerveza, which is beer. You wanna know these things because it makes it a little bit easier, a little bit nicer when you are a tourist, just like anywhere you go. But especially if you're not gonna be in like Colonia and Montevideo and Punta del Este, you'll find English menus, you'll find English stuff, because there's a lot of international tourists going there. But if you're going to an estancia, like what are the ranches out, or you're gonna go into the backwoods kind of stuff, you're not going to find the English menus. You're not going to find as many people speaking English as you would in the more metropolitan area. So do have a heads up with that. And the thing is there are some really nice things you might not know about when you come here, and you want the locals to tell you. So you find out about the chivito sandwich, or that steak sandwich, or the Tanat wine. And Tanat is the local wine that's brewed here. Like Argentina's got Malbec, here it's Tanat. And the thing is, I've never had this before. Like, I've never seen it in a grocery store, I've never seen it in a liquor store or a wine store, but it's this wonderful red wine they have here. It's smooth. Oh my God, it is good drinking, let's put it that way, but it's also good enjoying with the meats and stuff. And the thing is, you don't have that in the US, or if you do, it's very, very seldom, because it's not a huge production of this kind of wine. So definitely grab some when you're here. And I would have known about that unless my Uruguayan friends I talked to before I came here said, Mark, you gotta drink our wine. Where them? I'm like, oh, of course I'll get Uruguayan. No, it's gotta be Tanat. You gotta have this one. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And that's what's cool, because if you know anybody from Uruguay, or you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's from Uruguay or likes Uruguay, they'll be more than glad to give you a full list of things you want to have and do and eat and drink and visit when you do come here, which is really cool. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually when you go and you're going to stay here, you might want to be looking at different accommodations when you come here. Look, there are a lot of hotels throughout Uruguay. You'll be okay. There's also posadas, which are more like pensions and pensiones and residencias. So there's different levels of like cost. Just a hotel is probably going to be more expensive. Residencia would be a lot cheaper. There's those things. One thing you might look at is what's called a hospedajes, or hospedaje, which is actually a homestay, so you can live with a family. And I've actually done that a couple times, where I actually did that and actually helped me practice my language. So I stayed for a week, met the family, got to practice my Spanish, and that really helped out. So there are those options out there, but of course, anywhere you're going to go, make sure you read reviews, because there still is enough tourists that have come here, that have done enough reviews on different places here. You'll be okay with that. I have found the accommodation here is fine, kind of typical South American accommodation, no problem. If you want the higher end experience, they have that. If you want the cheap backpacker hostel kind of stuff, they have that as well, so there's no problem. Another thing I'd look at is, you're probably going to know, is how do I charge my devices when I'm here? What plug am I going to be using? Well, Uruguay, actually, when you're here, you'll actually see two different kinds of plugs. You'll see like the one you have in Argentina, which has the two weird kind of bent straight lines in the bottom line there, or you'll see the three-prong Brazilian there's Brazilian plugs. What's cool is if you have the ones that are Brazilian type of plugs, you can use the typical European plug just fine. So you don't have to go and search for like an Argentina plug or a Brazil plug. A European plug will be okay, like mainland Europe kind of stuff, so that'll be fine. Other things I'd want to say is, I know we talked about safety, but in general, general, like I said, it's a very safe country to go to. If you do want to call emergency, it's 911, so that's nice and easy to do, and they will help you out. So next thing you probably want to know is, how am I going to get around Uruguay? One of the things you need to realize is this is a bus country. You're going to be taking the bus. And the thing is, there are nice buses here, and that's really cool. And so you're going to be taking it from the main bus station, different places. Tres Cruces in Montevideo is going to be your friend, okay? Because you might be based out of there and switching there a lot. The thing is, you can buy your tickets online for a lot of the lines, so it's really easy to do. I mean, I just registered like my account and I bought my tickets for the whole family, no problem whatsoever. So it's really cool, nice and safe. You're going to be putting your bags underneath the bus when you do go. Make sure you tip the person that puts the bag underneath, like $1 or something like that. It's no big deal. You don't have to worry about it, but it's just one of the nice things you do. When you're in town, you're going to take taxis around. It's no big deal. They're not very expensive, so you do have that. I will say though, if it's like kind of like a really important connection you have, like to the airport or something like that, I would arrange for a taxi with your hotel beforehand, so you're not worrying is when I'm going to show up and stuff like that. So you do have a heads up for that. Also, when you're getting around, there's a lot of cobblestones and stuff like that, so make sure you bring some good sturdy shoes when you're going to be walking around. And the thing is, if you're going to come here when it's rainy season, or we're here when it's just happens to be raining, sometimes those cobblestones can be a little slick, so just have a little heads up for that one, okay? You can rent cars. There's a lot of places that'll rent cars, and some towns even rent little like moped buggies and kind of stuff, or little golf carts and stuff. You do need to have your driver's license to rent those as well, so have that kind of taken care of before you come down here. Another thing I would say, if you're going to be renting a car anywhere in South America, if you're coming from the US, there's international driver's license, then there's a special one just for South America. I would get that one at your local AAA just to be safe in case they ask for it. Not everyone does, but just in case, I would definitely have it to give people less reason to like give you trouble. So there is that. The last thing I'll talk about is when you should come here. Well, you can enjoy Uruguay all year round. We're actually here in July, okay? So this is the heart of winter, like, you know, cold weather stuff, and we're having a nice time. But if you want to have a really good time, you want to come here in the summer. Let's be honest, okay? Whether you're going to be going up to the Playa de Diablo, or you're going to be going up to Punta del Este, or you're going to be going to any of the beaches on the coast, or the Rio de la Plata, you want to be here when it's warm. And summertime here is December, January, February, and into March. And what you need to know is prices spike at that time. Hotels book out at that time, so make sure you do book ahead if you're going to be coming in that peak season. Also, Easter week or tourism week, yeah, this place packs up during Easter week. So if you're going to come for Semana Santa, the Holy Week and stuff, make sure you're booking really far ahead, just so you make sure you get your accommodation, you get your ferries and stuff like that, because the ferries from Buenos Aires, they'll book out, okay? So make sure if you're going Buquebus or whatever, you want to make sure you're booking those beforehand, all right? And I guess I should tell you about that. When you're coming into here, you don't have a ton of international flights coming into Montevideo. A lot of them will fly into Buenos Aires, then maybe hop over to Montevideo, or you're flying into Buenos Aires and then coming over to Montevideo or Colonia. There's a ferry that goes, it's like well, they'll say it's 50 minutes online and stuff, but basically from when you actually leave to when you actually get off the ferry and out of the stations takes you about an hour and a half from Buenos Aires to here in Montevideo. It's really easy to do. It's simple to do. You can do that, and it's a nice day trip to come over here, but that's what a lot of people do to come and check out Uruguay. They go through Buenos Aires, and so you can do that. There's also, you can come in from Brazil and things like that, so it's no big deal. I found the border crossings here to be a lot more relaxed than other places I've been to, so that is kind of cool. And you do have that feel when you are here in Uruguay. This is much more of a relax, man, kind of feel here, so you will enjoy that. So I hope that helped you know a little bit more about what to know before you come to Uruguay. I know for me, looking up and trying to find research on it was a little bit more difficult than usual, because you don't have a ton of guidebooks, you don't have a ton of stuff that's focused on this small country. And the thing is, it's not a small country, it's the size of Oklahoma. It would be like a nice sized country in Europe. But here in South America, with these huge countries, a lot of people kind of look past it. And I hope you won't look past it, because it is a nice place to visit. Nice people, some good food, and some fantastic wine, man. Drink that Tannet wine. It is awesome. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most important tone you have when you come to Uruguay is don't compare Uruguay and Argentina. Don't say, oh, Argentina, Uruguay, they're the same. Oh no, they're not. There's a lot of differences, and the locals will not like that, okay? So don't say Uruguay and Argentina are the same place, okay? The second don't I have for you is, don't expect to find a lot of guidebooks about Uruguay. And this is one of the things when a lot of people put Uruguay and Argentina together, is because a lot of times Uruguay just kind of gets shoved into an Argentina guidebook. For example, if you get Lonely Planet, Argentina. Guess what? It doesn't say Argentina and Uruguay, it just says Argentina, but in the back it has a Uruguay section. If you get the Folders Buenos Aires book, well guess what? It has all of Buenos Aires and then it has Uruguay attached onto it. So don't think you're gonna find a Uruguay guidebook. So make sure you do search more online to find more stuff. And there's not a lot of stuff out there, but there is some good stuff if you can find it, right? So that's why we're trying to do these videos, to help people out here when they come to Uruguay. So I told you I'd get back to the food part, right? And so one of the food things you need to know is when you go out to eat here for dinner, don't think you're gonna go out for dinner early, okay? Because if you go out early, you know, 6 or 7 or something like that, and you're like, does no one eat here? Well, it's because you don't eat early dinners here. You eat late night. So don't be surprised if you have dinner like 11 p.m. at night. That is not uncommon to be going out to dinner, even if you have your kids with you. So don't worry about that, all right? Now, when you do go out, another don't I have for you is because you're gonna wanna have the steaks when you're here. Oh my God, lomo and the bife, the steaks and stuff. It's fantastic here. But what you need to realize is don't expect any blood in your meat. They like their meat cooked well done. So if you're not a well done beef person, and I'm not, you need to make sure you tell them you want it on the rare side, okay? Because here a usual steak is well done. And I mean like well done. Fantastic meat, but just well done. So just a heads up for that one, okay? Another don't I have for you with the food is don't forget to eat some dulce de leche. The dulce de leche, it's caramel basically, and it'll come in thousands of different forms, okay? And you're gonna enjoy it in thousands of different forms, whether it's in a pancake or on some toast, or alfajor, which is like cookie and then dulce de leche and then cookie and then covered in chocolate. Or you get the triple, which is like cookie, dulce de leche, cookie, dulce de leche, cookie, and then covered in chocolate. Man, there's a lot of really great stuff you can really eat when you are here. So do not pass that up, okay? And if you haven't noticed yet, I guess I should put this in there, is don't be a vegetarian when you come here to Uruguay, because there's so many meats and so many things out there that being a vegetarian or a vegan when you do come here can be a bit complicated. Now the salads are nice, there's lots of fresh fruit, a lot of fresh veggies and stuff like that, so you'll be okay. But just know, there's not a lot of vegetarian options when you do come here, okay? Sorry to tell you that one. Now, other don'ts I have for you is when you come to Punta del Este, if you're gonna go to the beach towns in the summer, don't expect to find cheap accommodation and don't expect to find too much accommodation last minute. You really do need to book ahead in some of the more popular tourist destinations in the summertime. And remember, the summertime here in Uruguay, December, January, February, into March, that's summertime, okay? So make sure you're booking ahead in those times, because otherwise you might be out of luck. But the thing is, there's tons of great beaches, not just Punta del Este, there's a lot of other great beaches to check out you can enjoy, so definitely have that. And that's gonna go actually to a safety thing, as I'm gonna tell you is don't mess with the Atlantic Ocean. I know when you go to the beach, it's, oh, the ocean's so beautiful, it's so nice. Yes, it is. But do be careful when you do go to the beach, okay? And it's not just don't forget your sunblock kind of stuff. I mean, watch out for the riptides, watch out for this stuff, okay? So just be careful. Another don't I have for you is don't think the ATMs are 24/7, all right? Now, what you'll find is a lot of times ATMs will be inside the banks here in Uruguay. And the thing is once the bank closes, the ATM might close as well. Now, some you can get into, but not all of them. So make sure you do have some cash before closing hours, or if there's gonna be a long bank holiday weekend, make sure you get your cash beforehand just in case, because it can be an issue when you are out there, because you will be using cash when you are here. But I would say is don't worry too much about your credit cards, because what's cool is I've seen more international credit cards taken here than lots of places. American Express, Visa, MasterCard, no problem, okay? And another don't I have with the money here is don't worry if you just bring dollars or reals or pesos from Argentina. A lot of places here in Uruguay will take multiple currencies and they'll have a board maybe telling you what they're going to exchange it at. So I'd be, oh, 30 for a dollar or 31 for euros or something like that, because I've seen places that take all the different currencies. Now the thing is though, kind of like the de facto foreign currency I say would be the US dollar. So if you're going to have any foreign currency that's not the Uruguay peso, I would have US dollars, okay? Also, don't forget to tip when you are here at the restaurants. You tip about 10% on top of the bill. You can put it with a credit card, or what I would do is just leave the cash on top when you leave. That's the best way to go. Also, don't forget to leave like $1 or something for the cleaning staff in your hotel, just because it does make a big difference for them, okay? Now, my next set of 3 don'ts actually deals with probably one of the most quintessential things you need to do and have when you are here in Uruguay, and it has to do with mate, the official drink of Uruguay. I know some people say, oh, Budweiser, the favorite drink of America, or Coca-Cola. No. Mate is something that everybody drinks here. If you're not sure what it is, it's basically these leaves and you put it in a little gourd, a little cup, and there's a straw coming out of it. You pour hot water in it and you just sip it out like that, like through the straw. No big deal, okay? The thing is, there's some don'ts I have for you if you get invited to this, and that is one, don't pass up the chance to get into the mate circle, okay? Because that means, hey, we're taking you as a local, we want to talk to you, and so don't pass up that chance. But the thing is when you get in the mate circle, the next don't I have for you is don't break the circle. Make sure you realize the circle it's going in, and you're going to get introduced to a certain spot, and it won't come back to you until everyone else goes, and then it's your turn again. Don't be like, oh, I want some more mate. No, okay? Don't do that. Don't break the circle when you're there. Also, don't try to stir it up with the spoon. You're like, oh, I'm sure there's more hot water in there. No. Leave the straw in there. The person will fill it up. And usually the person that fills it with the hot water is the person whose gourd it is and mate it is. So just have a heads up for that one, okay? The thing is, when you go around, you're gonna see people walking around with their mate gourds and their thermoses of hot water all over the country, I mean, everywhere. And when you go to the shops, you'll see that as one of the big souvenir things that people buy, okay? So don't feel bad about grabbing a mate set when you're going home. I mean, I have a couple back in the US. But the thing is, I would say, is when you're going to go to those shops, don't expect to do any shopping on Sundays, okay? And also, don't forget about the siesta. So sometimes the stores will close from like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or something like that, because there is kind of a break to go have lunch. So do have a heads up for that. But also Sundays, maybe not gonna be the best day to shop. Well, I think I'm gonna go someplace else to finish off this video because I'm getting a little wet. So I got out of the rain on the other side of the peninsula here in Colonia, and the next don't I have for you is, if you're gonna be traveling from Argentina, and especially from Buenos Aires, don't expect the hustle and bustle of Buenos Aires and Argentina to happen here, okay? This is a completely different place, like I said before. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because you really need to make sure you don't forget your patience when you are here. Things do take a bit more time here in Uruguay than they do in Argentina, I've found. So just have a heads up for that. And one last relation with Argentina is a lot of people, when they come to South America, they think, oh yeah, it's gonna be really, really cheap. The thing is, Uruguay is not expensive, but don't think you're gonna get Argentina prices. Argentina's had so many financial meltdowns and issues and problems that people don't realize is actually Uruguay is actually quite stable. The government, the economy, the banking system is actually quite stable. Education system, all kinds of stuff. So don't think that you're going to get it as cheap as you will get in Argentina. Now, don't worry, you're not going to break the bank coming to Uruguay, but don't think it's going to be as cheap as going to some other parts of South America. And the thing is, like I said, you're not going to bust your budget when you are here. And one of the things that's nice is don't think you're going to have to pay for the museums, at least the public museums, because the public museums here in Uruguay are free. So that's actually quite nice for a tourist. And even the ones that aren't free actually are quite affordable. So you're not really going to have a problem seeing the history to go along with the beautiful beaches and stuff like that. I do have a few more don'ts I would like to add before we finish off here. Oh, we're here in Montevideo now. Actually, the cathedral's right there. Nice place to check out if you're going to be here in Uruguay. Definitely check out Montevideo. Anyway, another don't I have for you is don't think that when you come here, when you see all the marijuana signs, you smell all the marijuana, that you can go buy it and you can go smoke it. It is legal here, but only for residents of Uruguay. So if you think you're going to come here for a 420 time, you need to know there are some rules you're going to have to follow, and you will not be able to buy the stuff. I don't advocate it, but I've seen a lot of tourist signs and stuff like that to promote these kind of tours and visits and stuff, but realize, don't think that you can buy the stuff, okay? Another don't I have for you is don't worry as much about crossing the street. Now, I say this because I know a lot of people are coming from Argentina or Buenos Aires, where it's literally like take your life into your own hands when you cross the street, or like in Brazil. Here, it's crazy. Don't expect to see stoplights or stop signs, but the thing is, you can cross the street. They actually stop for you. Now, I'm not saying blindly walk out on the street, but I will say that it's a lot safer to cross the street here than in other places. And my last don't I'm going to give you from here in Montevideo is don't be afraid to share the garnishes, the side dishes. When you order your meat, it's gonna come just as a meat, and then you order a side, and most of the time those sides are gonna be big enough to share. One of my favorite sides is get the papas fritas con champiñones, or the French fries with mushrooms, so it's like mushroom sauce on top of fries. It is so good, but seriously, it's big enough to share, or big enough for a meal, to be honest. So those are some don'ts we have about coming here to Uruguay. It is a fantastic country to visit. It's really safe. The people are super nice. We've met some great people while we've been here. Highly recommend it. If you're looking for a safe, easy place to go in South America, it's a really easy, safe place to go, whether you're hitting the beaches or you're going up to Salto and you're doing the hot springs up there. You're just hitting up Colonia for the history. Or just here in Montevideo, there's a lot to see and enjoy, and I hope you will come, and I hope you don't skip out on it when you do head to Buenos Aires or in Brazil, because it is worth the stop through. So I hope that helps you. And my last note for you for here in Uruguay is, I know it's a small country, and most people, they kind of think past it. You see big old Brazil with Rio and Sao Paulo, or you think Argentina with the Pampas and Patagonia and Buenos Aires and Iguazu Falls and stuff like that. Look, don't skip out on coming to Uruguay. It is well worth a stopover. And the thing is, even if you're just coming for a day trip from Buenos Aires on the ferry, it's worth it to come here to get a different feel than you do in Argentina or Brazil and things like that. And you'll see when you come here how many Brazilian and Argentinian tourists or Argentine tourists are coming here when they want to come and enjoy and have a nice time, because it is a really nice place with super nice people, okay? So I hope this helps you know a little bit more about what you don't do when you do come here to Uruguay. And what we're going to talk about today are some things you should know before you come to Colonia, because it does make a really easy, great day trip from Buenos Aires. Or if you're going from Montevideo, it's only like almost 3 hours on a bus, so it's not that bad to get to, and it is well worth checking out because this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site city. The historic center is UNESCO, and it is gorgeous, and it's cool to check out. So here are the five main areas I want you to know, or five main things I would want you to know, or I'd want someone to know when they're going to come here. The first thing is, you got the sites, right? You have the historic center, and when you're coming in, if you're taking the bus or you're taking the ferry in from Buenos Aires or the bus from Montevideo, they actually drop you off at basically the same spot, and you walk into town and you'll see the gate to the city that's still there, and you can see some remnants of the wall that's there you can walk on and stuff. You have that, and then you come into the old town, and it's all, you know, cobblestones, broken stone streets. So one, if it's raining like this, it can be a little slick, and two, it is rather bumpy, so watch your footing when you're walking around. But the architecture and the colonial buildings that are there are just gorgeous to walk through and enjoy. And the thing is, there's a lot of little museums around the historic center. Since the Portuguese were here, there's a Portuguese museum. There's the azulejos, or the blue tile museum, the Portuguese tile. There's a museum for that. There's a museum for the indigenous people. There's a Spanish museum that's here. There's a municipal museum. There's all these little museums you can check out to get some cultural side of things, aside from the fun stuff to do when you come to this town, okay? The one thing that you really want to do that most people come and see, they say, I have to do this when I come here, is you're going to see the Fado, you're going to see the lighthouse, and you can actually walk up the lighthouse and get a view of the city. Now, if you got little kids, they can't go up for safety reasons, so that kind of sucks. But do know there's a plaza right by the lighthouse, which has an ice cream place. You can have some ice cream, and you can enjoy and kick the soccer ball around and things like that. And the thing is, when you're here, you're going to be wandering around, so you can walk along the waterfront, because it's a point when you're here in Colonia. You can walk around the waterfront, which is really pretty. You can see the Rio de la Plata. You can see that. You can walk through the town. There's a basilica on the hill you can go into. I mean, it's kind of plain inside, but it is a nice little place to check out when you are here. And it just really is. It's kind of like, you know, a few blocks by 6 block by 6 blocks, or 8 block by 8 block, you know, kind of historic center, which is just really, really gorgeous. And the thing is the second thing I want you to know is the tourism infrastructure here is really good. I mean, this city obviously knows that it's for tourists, and it knows that it gets a lot of people from Buenos Aires coming over here for the weekends and things like that. So there's a lot of hotels, there's a lot of posadas you can stay at, and that's cool. I will say, if you're going to be coming during busy season, so like in the summer times or busy holiday weekends, or tourism week or Easter week, Holy Week, here in Uruguay, know that you need to book your hotel accommodations well in advance, because it's going to be tough to find places. Also, because there's so much tourism, make sure if you're going to be coming from Buenos Aires, you book your boat early before you come, because they do sell out, okay? But the thing is the infrastructure, with a lot of really good restaurants, there's bars around here, there's places for you to have fun and stuff and to enjoy. And the thing is, there's tourist information at the harbor, okay? There's tourist information in town, so you'll be fine. So that's really kind of cool. And I guess for my kind of infrastructure stuff, you probably want to know what you want to eat when you come here. One, you have chivito, which is the Uruguayan steak sandwich. I mean, this thing is awesome. Bread, steak, lettuce, tomato. Then they take the cheese, wrap it in ham, cook that, and then they put, you know, an egg on top and mayo and stuff. Oh, it's so good. And if you don't want the carbs, you don't want the bread, well, they can make it al plato, chivito al plato, which is basically take off the bread and put it on top of potatoes. So there is that. I would definitely have the Tenant wine. That's the Uruguayan wine, okay? You don't see it a lot of places outside of Uruguay because they don't produce a lot of it. So when you're here, definitely enjoy that. That's really nice. If you're any kind of sweets that have dulce de leche, which is kind of like a caramel kind of thing, that's really good too. So have those things. And you'll see people with their mate, the herb mate stuff to drink when you're here. So you'll see that. People have that all the time. But it's really cool because they do have this nice tourism infrastructure. And what's cool is part of that is since they know all these tourists come in, the restaurants, their menus are in English, they're in Spanish, they're in Portuguese. The people speak some English around here if you need a little help, and that's what's really nice about it, okay? Because in other parts of Uruguay, you don't find a lot of English, but here you find enough that, oh, hey, that's helpful, and the menus are set up for that. Now, third thing I want to talk about when you come here is actually how you're going to pay for things. Well, in Uruguay, they have the Uruguayan peso, so of course you can pay with that, but since they have so many tourists from Argentina, from Brazil, coming here, you actually can pay in Uruguayan peso, you can pay in the US dollar. I've seen places where you can pay with the Argentine peso. I've seen places where you can spend with the Brazilian real. Heck, I saw places where you could pay with euros. But usually I would say the de facto non-Uruguayan peso currency would be the US dollar. And the thing is sometimes your restaurants will actually give you your bill in Uruguayan pesos and in dollars if you want to pay that way. So you do have that. And what will happen is they might tell you the price in Uruguayan pesos. You say, hey, can I pay in dollars? They'll tell, like, divide by 30 or whatever the closest exchange rate is at the time. For being a tourist place, they're very fair and they're not ripping people off, which I thought was really, really nice. Okay, so that is kind of cool. Another thing about the money stuff, the ATMs, there are ATMs at the banks around town, but they're inside the banks. So you have to swipe your card to get in, or some of them are only open during bank hours. So make sure you have that, because I would have some cash because you want to buy some trinkets and stuff like that, or tip. It's always nice to tip in Uruguayan pesos, but people take dollars, no problem. So you can do that. And you might want to know is, what do I spend my money on when I'm here? Well, aside from the wine and the beef when you are here, the asado is really good, the beef and stuff, is you want to look at, there's a lot of leather goods, a lot of wool goods, ceramics, stuff like that. I know Jocelyn's got a really cool pair of leather boots when she was here. My mom got a couple cool sweaters, a ceramic bowl to take home. So there are some cool things to buy when you do come here. So maybe leave an extra room in your day pack or your suitcase when you're coming here to buy some stuff when you are here. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about is what you're really going to do when you are here. And I just want you to know, this is a very much a chill out and relax town. I mean, things don't get started very early, okay? Dinner time, some restaurants might not open until 8 o'clock at night. And so you're really much a laid back kind of thing, which is cool because when you walk through the historic part of town, you're like, yeah, I can totally chill out here. I could sit at this cafe and have some wine or have a Patricia, one of the local beers here, and have that. I mean, it's cool and it's really relaxed, and you need to have patience when you are here, okay? And if you are here in the summer, I mean, I'm here in their winter, okay? Oh, that's something you probably should know is Uruguay's got flip seasons from the US, so summer is December, January, February, March, whereas winter is June, July, August. Well, I'm here in their winter months, and it does get a little chilly here if you're coming here in June, July, things like that, because I know a lot of Americans and Canadians will actually fly down to Buenos Aires during our summer holidays in the US, but it'll be winter here. So make sure you bring some layers, okay? I'm gonna tell you that one now. But if you come in the summer, there's some like river beaches you can go to, which is nice. There's stuff outdoors you can do, so it is really cool, okay? And what's really nice though is this actually is a really safe town. In Uruguay in general, it's like the safest country in South America, Central America, probably in the Americas outside of like Canada or something like that. So you are really safe when you are here, so that's a nice thing. And since they like to protect their tourists, it's even safer for you when you are here. But of course, don't be silly. Don't leave stuff in your car if you have one, and don't like flash your money, just like you would anywhere in the world. But here you feel a lot safer, so it's really nice with the kids and stuff, because they could play in the park and I could talk over here and we could get ice cream, they go shopping. It was a really fantastic experience, okay? And the last thing I want to talk about is actually transportation. So if you're going to be coming here to Colonia from Tres Cruces, in Montevideo, that's the main bus station in Montevideo, it's going to take you about 3 hours. Okay, so they say 2 hours and 50 minutes. Let's just say 3 hours, okay? But when you're buying your bus ticket, make sure you look at duración or duration, because there are some that take longer than that 3 hours to get here. So do have a heads up for that one. And if you're coming from other parts of Uruguay, you might have to go through Tres Cruces anyway to get here. So just have a heads up. And then if you're going to be coming from Argentina, well, there's the Buque Bus and there's Seacat. There's a bunch of ferries that'll come over from Buenos Aires. And I know online everyone says, oh, it's an easy 50-minute ride. Look, maybe the boat is moving for 50 minutes, but our boat left at 11 o'clock and we actually got out of the terminal here at 12:47. Okay, so it's not just a simple 50-minute thing. It's going to take you a couple hours because you remember you have to go through customs in Argentina. And when you're in Argentina coming this way, you do customs for Argentina and Uruguay there. So when you do get off the boat here, you just walk off into the city, which is really cool. And if you're going back to Buenos Aires, they do all that stuff on this side, okay? So you need to be there a little earlier to get your bus to go there, okay? Because you do need time for that, all right? Now, other things I want to say is if you want to get around town, one of the fun things I saw is you can actually rent a golf cart when you come here. You'll see a bunch of thrifty signs or whatever sign, you know, rental signs that are renting out golf carts. They might look like old-fashioned cars or just like, you know, like, I don't know, Apocalypse Now versions, like an end of the world golf carts. They have fun themes with them and stuff. But you can rent this golf cart to go around, and that is a nice thing to do. Just because there are some hills, and maybe if you're staying a little bit farther off, it's easier to get downtown or get to the historic center with them. So I saw a lot of people getting those. We stayed kind of in the heart of the old town, so we didn't have to do that. It would have been a fun thing to do. So I hope this helps you know a bit more about what you should know before you come to Colonia, whether it's a day trip from Buenos Aires or you're staying here for a few nights. I'm sorry that I'm filming here on my third day with rain. I should have filmed when it wasn't raining, but hey, that's how it is when we travel. It happens, and it's still a wonderful place to be. I'm having a nice little visit here, but I'm only here for a short time. So Juan has been nice enough to give me a few tips, and you a few tips on what you should know about visiting Montevideo when you do come here. It's a safe place, nice people, some good food, but I'll let a local tell you what you need to know. So what are some things we should do here when we do come to Montevideo?
Well, if you come here, you only have like a couple days. You should cover like the basics, the most important stuff. And one of the things you can do is just walk around the city. When you get here, you check in your hotel, it's just go out, walk along the streets. You'll find very beautiful architecture here, like a lot of Art Deco and Art Nouveau. And you can just walk, and that'll be a nice experience. You can find a real European feeling in the city. So that's nice.
Yeah, and I agree. And actually, my favorite building in South America is actually over here. I'll put a picture up to see it. But the tower, what is this one called?
Palacio Salvo.
Palacio
Salvo, yes.
That is, it's like 1920s, but you'll see it when you come in. It is just gorgeous when you go there, but that's my like favorite postcard one. And hint, spoiler alert, it will be in our Christmas video this year. and no, we're not here at Christmas time. We're here in winter here, and it's a little windy and cold. But is it always that way? Like, what if I'm coming here in the summer? What should we do? Is there something you should recommend?
Yes, of course. We usually have better weather than tonight. But yes, if you come here in the summer, the best months to come here are from December till March, okay? Cool. If you come in January, everything will be packed. You'll find a lot of people in the east part of the country where all the best beaches are. And you should definitely go to Punta del Este.
Okay,
that's
cool.
The best.
Cool. So what about some stuffs here in Montevideo? What should I do? Like, you were talking about the place on the river or on the boardwalks or something? Or
yes, you can go down to the boardwalk, which is like 5 blocks from here, and you have 15 kilometers that you can walk along to.
Wow.
So that's really nice. When there's good weather, you can go to the beach, and you'll find a lot of people doing sports. It's just like the place to get together in Montevideo, you know, the place to socialize. So it's great.
Cool. So what's like a tourist place? I want to go grab a bite to eat or something like that. What's like a touristy thing I can go see and do?
You can go to a touristy place that, besides being a touristy place, is great, which is Mercado del Puerto, and the good thing about Montevideo is that everything's close by, so it's like 10 blocks from here too, from the main street, and there you'll find the best Uruguayan meat, and you can also have a medio with your food, with your meat, which is great.
So the medio is like
bubbly wine,
bubbly wine, and a white wine, a dry white wine together.
Combined together, and it's great.
Yeah, it is good. In the hotel we're staying at, we're at the Radisson this time. They had that for us today. Oh my God, it was so good.
I had 3.
Yes. So
that's how good it is.
That's how good it is. But what are some things we should have when we are here? Like what to eat? I mean, aside from the medio, which was awesome. But what about food-wise or something?
You can have asado, which is the typical wheat a lot of it. Here is all wheat.
Lots of beef.
Okay, and you should also have the national sandwich, which is called chivito. Chivito is great. It's a big sandwich. It has lomo. You know, it's a really nice meat cut. And it has eggs, it has ham, and it has a side of salad, fries. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm glad he reminded me of this one because I've had it like 5 times so far since we've been here in Uruguay. I'm like, yes, I wasn't just loving it. It's actually what I'm supposed to have. That's great. But the thing is there's a wine here that's just amazing that I never heard of before I came this time.
That's called Tanat, which is like the national wine, the national grape, and it's a really nice wine.
Yeah.
It's a red, and it goes well with all the meat.
Oh yes, it goes very well with all of the meats for sure. That's awesome.
And 3 of those too.
Yeah, and so when I'm coming here to Montevideo, I mean, the last time I was here, it's been 20 years since I've been here, and I've seen so much changes, but the architecture, like you're talking about, it's still fantastic to see. But like, if I want to get around, I know I can walk places, but if I got to go farther afield, how should I get around town?
You can always grab a bus. They're available in the whole city, and you can take them in the main street here, for example, but they get everywhere.
Okay.
You can also grab a taxi or Uber. You can Uber here.
Cool.
It's reliable, it's cheap, so that's a good option. So.
Cool, awesome. So, any last things you think we should know about Montevideo or Uruguay or anything?
I think if you come nearby, a lot of people know Argentina and come to Buenos Aires. Please cross the river and come to Uruguay. I think you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
You'll find.
It is, and the people are super nice. It's really safe. I mean, honestly, this is like, I won't let him. It's the safest place I've been in South America, to be honest. And the people are super awesome. And the thing is, he's right. It is. I mean, you can come over to Colonia from Buenos Aires in like an hour, or it takes a little bit longer to come to Montevideo, but it is worth coming to. So, thank you, Juan. This is awesome. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. The 5 things you should eat and enjoy when you do come here to Uruguay. And the thing is, I know when you travel places, you see lists of there's 20 things you have to eat in this country or 1,000 things you have to eat before you die. Well, the thing is when you're a traveler, you don't always have a lot of time to eat all 50 things on those lists, okay? So what we're trying to do is give you the 5 best things to have when you do come here to Uruguay, because I know a lot of people maybe only come for a day trip from Buenos Aires, or maybe they're staying for a long weekend to go to Montevideo or something like that. So I want to give you my 5 favorites, and these are also some of the favorites that some of our fans have written to us when they told them we're going to Uruguay, like, Mark, you have to have these. And I'm so glad that you all gave me advice, okay? Now, the first thing you have to have when you come here is probably the tastiest, most amazing steak sandwich you will have in your entire life. It's called chivito. And the thing is, chivito is, it's a sandwich, okay? You think, well, sandwich, what's so special about a sandwich? Well, these sandwiches are amazing. So you have bread, and then it's got a piece of steak in there, oh my God, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, and then there's ham and cheese like melted together, and then see the birds are going crazy because the next part is, then there's an egg on top, and then the bread, oh my God, it is fantastic. You definitely want to have that when you're here. And let's say you're watching your carbs, so you don't want the bread, well, you can get chivito al plato, which is basically all the meat stuff, and then it's on top of kind of potatoes instead. But that is one thing you have to have when you come here. That's one thing is, our Uruguayan travelers, fellow travelers, they wrote to us and said, dude, you have to have this. And I had it 20 years ago, the first time I was here, and I'd forgotten about it. And I'm really glad they reminded me, because when I got here and had it again, I'm like, oh yes, I remember that heavenly sandwich. So definitely have chivito when you are here. Second thing you want to have when you are here is have asado, okay? You want to have grilled meat. You want to have the beef. Oh my God, the steaks here. Beef de chorizo is fantastic. Lomo, like tenderloin, oh my God, it's so good. See, they're happy now that I'm talking about not bird food, okay? But the thing is also, if you want to have, asado with chicken or the sausages, oh my God, it's so good when you are here. But the thing is Uruguay is a meat-eating country. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, it's gonna be a little tough when you are here. The salads are fine, but I'm just telling you, this is a meat-eating society, and you're gonna love the meat when you are here. So definitely have the steaks, have the beefs. Oh my God, it is so good, all right? Now, the third thing you want to have when you're here is actually a drink, and it's called mate, or yerba mate. And what it is when you walk around, you're going to see all these people with these thermoses with hot water, and they're going to the stores to refill up their hot water, and you're like, why are all these people getting all this hot water? It's because they're pouring into these little gourds, these little cups with silver straws coming out of it. And the thing is, yerba mate, it's like leafy kind of stuff. You put it in there, pack it down, and then you pour hot water on it, and so it seeps into the water seeps into the leaves and stuff like that. and then you drink it out. Oh my God. And the thing is, the people here drink it like crazy. It's all over the place, especially if you're here in the wintertime. They're like, yeah, you have to have mate all the time. And it's a whole culture of mate when it's here. Make sure you stay in the circle of who's drinking which one, and make sure you know who the person is that pours, because not everyone gets to pour. Sometimes it's a person whose gourd it is. I mean, there's all these things here, but you want to have it because it really is kind of a traditional thing to have when you are here. And the thing is, you might not see it at the restaurant, so you might need to pick something up on your own. And believe me, if you go by any tourist shop, they will have your own, mate gourd to have, so you can make your own mate and drink out of there. And the silver straws are pretty cool, but yes, you got to have the mate. Though I will warn you, the first time I had it, I had like 7 cups of it, and I forgot how like caffeinated it can be, and it kept me awake for like days. Okay, so just heads up for that one. Now, the fourth thing I'd recommend for you to have here is to go along with all that steak, you want to have the wine. And that Tannet wine that's from here in Uruguay is actually really, really good. I know your Argentine wine and Chilean wine are super famous around the world, whether it's the Malbec in Argentina, things like that. Here it's Tannet wine. And the thing is, it's like such a small area that they can grow it in, or that they do produce, that it's not something you find in the US or Europe. So when you come here, make sure you get that Tannet wine, because the reds with the meat, oh my God, it's just like, it's so smooth to drink, but it really brings out the flavors of the meats. So make sure you drink the red wine when you're here, but it's the Tannet wine, okay? That's what you want to have. That's something really special just from here. And the fifth thing, and the sweetest thing to have when you do come here to Uruguay, is dulce de leche. And dulce de leche is kind of like a caramel, it's cooked, caramelized milk and sugar and stuff like that, but it's so much better. It's so much more than just saying caramel. No, it's dulce de leche, and you might have it with different things. You might have it in a pancake. You might put it on your toast in the morning. It might be in some kind of cakes and stuff like that. It's really, really fantastic. But for me, the best thing to have it in is when you're going down the street and you see a kiosk and they're selling your Cokes or your drinks or your snacks or something like that. So when you're walking by those kiosks, go in and get an alfajor. I know I'm saying it wrong. Alfajores, these kind of things. And what it is, it's a cookie, and then dulce de leche, and another cookie, and then all covered in chocolate. Or you can get a triple where it's cookie, dulce de leche, cookie with all covered in chocolate. Oh my God, they are so good. And any checkout aisle will have them here in Uruguay. You will find them. I gave some to the kids. They're hopped up on dulce de leche right now, but they are really, really good. So make sure you grab one. And actually, they make really cool gifts to come back home, because it's individually packed. You can give it to your buddies and they'll enjoy it. So make sure you do grab one of those, or just get anything with dulce de leche. One of the things I found is really good is you get some of the ice cream where the dulce de leche is like ribbon through the ice cream. It is fantastic.
So I have a few things that I'd like to add to the things you have to eat while you're in Uruguay. And one of them is papas fritas con champignon. It's just French fries with a mushroom cream sauce on top, and it's really excellent. It's definitely rich, so you should share it. Although you won't want to share it, you should definitely share it. Another thing that I'd like to share with you is my favorite new drink. It's called medio y medio, and it's half sparkling white wine and half dry white wine. And every time I've had it, there's been a cherry in the bottom, but it's really tasty. A nice after dinner drink, or a pre-dinner drink, or both at the same time.
So if you only got a day, you can get all these things in. If you got a few days, you definitely can get all these in when you do come here to Uruguay. Because I know a lot of people, when they go to Buenos Aires, they're thinking about, hey, can I do that day trip over to Colonia? What's the whole process of taking the ferry over there and things like that? So this video is actually our experience taking the Buquebus ferry from Buenos Aires over to here to Colonia. It is a lot easier than it sounds, okay, so you'll be fine. But don't believe the tour books and guidebooks that say, oh, it's a 50-minute ride. Let's be honest, when you actually board at a little bit before your hour's up, you'll take you at least an hour and a half before you're actually off the boat in the other city. So it's not a 50-minute ride, okay? It's a couple-hour adventure to do that, all right? So just to give you a heads up. But anyway, here is our experience taking the ferry from Buenos Aires over here to Colonia. So we're here checking in for our Buquebus to Colonia. So to give you an idea, you got to get here they say get here 2 hours early, because you can already start booking. You check in, you can drop off your bags and stuff like that. So I will warn you, if you're coming here 2018, they're doing a lot of construction around in Montevideo, and so it can be a little complicated getting here, so give yourself the extra time with the taxis. Also remember, not all taxis have to take you, so you might want to tell your hotel to have them pick you up, so then they have to take you that way, okay? Okay, so we're getting ready to board. Just so you know, when you come, you check in. There's like a check-in, just like the airport and the gates. You're not. The thing is, there's multiple boats, so make sure you get in the line for the boat that's your time. You go in there, you check in. If you have any bags that are bigger than a carry-on, they're going to make you check them, and and they give you, you know, either your baggage claim ticket and stuff like that, just like on a plane. And then you get your tickets and stuff, and you need to keep your tickets and your passport together, because then right away you go upstairs and you go through immigrations, and you go through Argentina and Uruguay immigrations. It does take some time because they do the fingerprinting and the picture stuff on the Argentina side, so it does take some time. So remember, you can't just like show up last minute to get these. You gotta actually make sure you're here in plenty of time, okay? But you get your stamps exiting and entering, you know, exiting Argentina, entering Uruguay. You do have that, and then you come here and you wait for them to let you on, and then you go hop on the boat. So let's go hop on the boat. So you'll be waiting in line for a while if you come too early. They don't let you actually board until probably 20 minutes before departure. So just know you're gonna have some time. So one thing I will tell you, even if it's a nice day, it can be a little rocky on here. If it's really high winds and stuff like that, sometimes they get postponed or delayed or canceled, and it can be a little rough and shaky. So regardless, I do highly suggest you go to the bathroom before you come here. There are bathrooms on here, no problem, but just so you know, if you're not like, whoa, all over the place, just a heads up for that one. So I will say something, if you do the business class, you get like these nicer seats kind of stuff versus the lineup you have in the like normal cabins, like you have like an airplane and stuff like that. So these are more comfortable. You get a little table here and stuff like that. But I will say, you want to get up here and get one of the ones that are by the window. We were longer in the line, so we had these middle seats, but we do have that. So you do pay up to get business class, but I mean, you still have to go downstairs. They have their own little bar and stuff like that here, but it's fine. Joss would like me to tell you that make sure you bring your Dramamine, because even before you take off, you already feel like, whoa, whoa. And I'm going to stop doing that now before I make her ill. So just a heads up for that one.
And I sit behind. So I'm slightly nauseous because I get ever so seasick on certain size boats, larger ones mainly. Anyway, so I recommend, if you know that you get seasick, or if you think that you may get seasick, bring some Dramamine or Bonine. I prefer Bonine because it doesn't make you as sleepy. Dramamine tends to knock me out, but either way, it's a good idea to bring something just in case. And a lot of them that we get as adults are only good for kids 12 and older. So if you have children who get seasick, you may want to look into, they have bracelets, they're called C-bands, and they kind of hit a pulse point here. They also have stickers that go behind your ears. There are several different sort of homeopathic remedies that you can use, so look into those things before you get on the ferry, because once you're on the ferry, it might be too late.
So you might not be able to tell, but we're actually pulling in now. It's taken a little over an hour to get here. Relatively smooth ride, little bumps, you got some motion sickness stuff, just be careful with that, but I think Jocelyn covered that there. But not too bad. We'll hop off and give you some more tips, and then hope this helps you know what you go through if you take the buque bus from the fast bus, or fast boat. Take the fast one, it's only like an hour. The other one's like 3 hours, so just a heads up for that, from Buenos Aires to Colonia. So I hope that helps you out know what it's like to take the ferry when you do go from Buenos Aires to here in Colonia. It's a really easy ride. It's really actually pretty affordable. You can go different routes and stuff like that. I do recommend taking the fast one just to get here, because you can see Colonia and it makes a really good day trip from Buenos Aires if you're looking to go someplace, to reset your visa for your 90 days or whatever, or just to put some more stamps to your passport, see another country. But Colonia is really nice because it's it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so you can go and there's the walls, and you can go see the lighthouse and eat really well when you are here and have your mate and then asado and all kinds of good stuff. So I do hope you have a good time when you do come over to Colonia from Buenos Aires. It's really easy to do, it's really fun. I do recommend it, I've done it a few times now, and even from 20 years ago, the first time I did this to now, it still is a nice little trip to come over here. So have a great time. And today we're going to talk about is actually tipping here in Uruguay, because I know when you're traveling around, you're never sure, do I tip, do I not tip, who do I tip, who do I not tip? And so we're going to focus that on here in Uruguay, because yes, you do tip when you do come here to Uruguay, okay? Now, the thing is though, when you go out to a restaurant, you're going to tip 10%. You know, 10%, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less if the service was bad, but 10% is kind of like the going tip you're going to give at a sit-down restaurant or cafe kind of thing when you're going there. The thing is though, you can pay with credit card, and I've seen Visa, MasterCard, American Express, all kinds of stuff accepted a lot of places. Some places may only take one of those, so do make sure you check to see which ones they do take. But what I usually recommend is leave the tip in cash when you are here. And the thing is, you can tip in pesos, the local currency, or you can tip in US dollars. It's no big deal. People are fine with that. So what we've been doing is I've been paying with my credit card to get the good exchange rate, and then tipping in dollars that way, because I didn't have a lot of change at first when I was here. So just make sure you're doing that. Another thing is, when you're staying at your hotels, you do want to tip, if the bellman brings up your bags and the cleaning staff, you do want to tip them. Think about, it's like $1 a bag maybe, or something like that. Maybe 50 cents per bag if you got a few bags, okay? So you do want to do that. The cleaning staff, I leave them at least $1 a day. If you've got more people or messy, like we've got the kids and we've got a bigger room, so I'm leaving $5 a day, something like that. But you don't have to go that high. But just to know that you do leave a little bit behind for the cleaning staff when you are there. Another thing that people usually ask about, what about tipping in taxis? You don't have to tip the taxis here. I might recommend rounding the bill up to the nearest kind of bill or something like that, so you don't deal with a handful of change or something. But in general, you don't tip them because you're not going to get the service even if you do tip. So just have a heads up on that one. Don't worry about the tipping with the taxis. Another thing is if you're going to be taking a tour guide, kind of standard practice, you're tipping for your tour guide 10 to 20% of the tour if it's a good tour. If it's a crappy tour, no, you don't have to tip. But if it's a decent tour, do tip them that 10 to 20% of what you paid for that tour. That's kind of like a going rate you might want to look at, okay? And the last person I would have mentioned about tipping is actually when you're taking the bus around the country, which you will, whether you're going from here to Colonia to Montevideo, or you're going to go hit the beaches and Punta del Este, these kind of things. You do want to tip the person that puts your bag underneath the bus, so maybe $1, when they put it in, $1 when they take it out, things like that. It's usually the best way to go, to have that. Just to make sure. That's usually one of those things you do when you are here. So I hope that helps you know a little bit more about tipping here in Uruguay, because it is a nice, chillaxing kind of place to be. Bye from Colonia.